Sure, I'm sort of blacklisted. I haven't had a studio job in 15 years, so you feel almost forbidden from the no, not in a way you are, yeah, I suppose take the video camera off. I will keep it on till we're rehearsal. Val Kilmer didn't just leave Hollywood. He was wiped out right after hitting the pinnacle of his career. He disappeared from blockbusters without notice, and now Mel Gibson is at last exposing the unsettling reality behind Kilmer's refusal to follow the rules and how that choice might have cost him all. Rewind to the 1980s and early 90s. Val Kilmer wasn't only in films. He was the movie Juilliard-trained youngest accepted ever and overflowing with natural ability. Kilmer had the sort of appeal casting agent seeking he was arrogant sure, but he had the evidence classified top weapon the doorway's tombstone when he portrayed Jim Morrison. People insisted he was Morrison by the time he donned the Batman suit for Batman Forever in 1995. He was Hollywood royalty, but just as quickly as he soared he disappeared when Batman and Robin came around. Kilmer was nowhere in sight. Director George Clooney took over. No follow-up. No justification, only quietude. Joel Schumacher didn't just let it go. Joel did not hold back when he finally aired out his drama with Val Kilmer in an interview with The Independent. Like he went off, this wasn't shade, this was full-blown deforestation. He straight up called Val psychotic. He ranted about being done, defending overpaid, overprivileged actors, and even said he prayed to never work with Val again. Then he added the ultimate petty line: he was badly behaved, he was rude and inappropriate. Then we had 2 weeks where he did not speak to me, but it was bliss. Now let's be real for a sec, since when it's being difficult, ever gotten a man kicked out of Hollywood, please half the industry runs on tantrums and ego trips. Plenty of leading men have thrown chairs on set, cursed out staff, and still walked home with Oscars. So the question is, was Val really that bad, or was he just not playing the right game with the right people? Then came the blacklisting whispers. Val himself admitted it in a painfully raw interview, but you think that people found it difficult to work with you because sure, what's the one past tough, unattainable? Sure, I'm somewhat blacklisted. I haven't had a studio job in 15 years. Therefore you sense you are prohibited from the no, not in a way you are, yeah, I guess. Sure, I've always seen movies and thought how I'd fit into that role. He said it was his failure to follow the rules, not his conduct, that caused problems. Sure, I had thoughts, insecurities clearly about myself that I projected onto the film industry, just the noises coming from my mouth. It was just ridiculously unrealistic. So apparently I have an evil twin. The industry demanded silence and obedience. Dumb, I was a dumb actor, but I did complain quite a bit. When I was younger, I didn't appreciate the business that afforded me the lifestyle that I very quickly enjoyed. Very quickly, I starred in my first movie. I was the lead. In the first play I did professionally, and now that I don't have that privilege, I wish that I loved more. I want to be a better person. I try to figure that out every day and be more grateful. And he made the mistake of thinking it was about the art. If you get back, will you behave in another way, or yes, in the way that gets me hired again? I was rather vocal about certain particular aspects of the art, but it's a business, and I behaved as though it wasn't. That's when the timeline starts to seem questionable, about 1998 to 1999. Kilmer drops off, and it's not only him. Mel Gibson, Wesley Snipes, Brendan Fraser. Around the same time Mel formally ruled the box office. They all go dark. Unless he funds the film himself, Brendan Fraser suddenly can't find work. Wesley is imprisoned for tax evasion. Then you leave and consider, no, I was mistaken. That's crazy. I'm paranoid. I dreamed that things couldn't be the cause of so-and-so's behavior. Could it? It's like that, and then you leave and say, no, I was wrong. That's crazy. I'm paranoid. I imagined that stuff. It could be the cause for why so-and-so was behaving like, could it? Later on, nonetheless, you discover on the track that you are precisely on track, yet as time went on he came to understand. He wasn't paranoid, he was correct. After steering the Passion of the Christ, he received the quiet treatment from every major studio. He was compelled to fund his own initiatives. Now obtained this 1999 Stanley Kubrick shuts eyes, wide shut secret society, masks aristocratic parties. The entire movie seems to be a metaphor for the underbelly of Hollywood. Suddenly, Kubrick passes away. Not only dies, but dies before he can authorize the last cut. Apparently, 25 minutes of video were lost. And guess what else occurred in 1999? Val Kilmer left Hollywood's A-list. Speaking of masked Batman, consider it Val Kilmer's icy, haunted shell of a man, a flawless metaphor for someone who has worn too many masks. Kilmer wasn't only an actor. He was a documentarian of his own life, filming everything from childhood settings to intimate times as if he knew he would need receipts. His 2021 documentary, Val, was tragic. I have thousands of hours of videotapes and film reels from my life and career. Shut the video camera off. I will keep it on until we rehearse. Not just because of the footage, but also because of the undertone. It was a man archiving his own eraser. Then there's the island you know about. The flights, the lists, the silence. Kilmer's decline coincides exactly with the increase of rumors about Epstein's circle. Did Kilmer decline an invitation or say something inappropriate? We don't know, but let's just say too many careers crashed around the same time for it to be a coincidence. Let's go back to 2015, when The Sound of Freedom script, a film about child trafficking based on the actual work of former Homeland Security agent Tim Ballard, was first written. Filming concluded in 2018. You would think this would have been a major release, right? Wrong. It was passed around like an unwanted group project no one wanted to present and sat untouched for 5 years. Well, this is where it starts getting suspicious. Originally, 20th Century Fox was to distribute the picture. But narrative twist. Disney acquired Fox in 2019 and inherited Sound of Freedom, hence locking it in a vault. Suddenly, it's as though the film never occurred. And let's be honest, this is when individuals started to decide the scenario, since why would Disney of all studios suppress a movie about preserving children? Fans were already guessing. Then Mel Gibson intervened to create even more disorder. Mel has been Hollywood's black sheep for years. This guy has been denouncing the dark vibe of the business since the late 1990s. He was still trying to figure out whether he was crazy or if Hollywood was indeed giving haunted house energy back then. But the longer he stayed, the more certain he got. It's not paranoid if they're actually concealing something. He once likened Hollywood to a twisted little town where everyone knows the truth, but no one talks about it. One of the times that resonated with people was when he revealed what a strong producer supposedly informed him. There is a producer, I know successful producer, I will not give names, but his whole view about ladies on film from beginning to end is pretty brief. He says women on film, either nude or dead, both is better. And it's like, whoa, Mel recognized early on that Hollywood was spiritually bankrupt. As time went on, he wasn't silent about it. He criticized them for how they treat women, exploit children, and shield criminals. So, when Sound of Freedom eventually started to create waves and was released independently, Mel's support of it seemed personal. The movie ate, on a $14 million budget, made almost $100 million globally. The mainstream media was dead silent. Actually, forget about that. They weren't silent. They were hostile. Rolling Stone, The Guardian, all termed it conspiracy bait, no comprehensive critique. No facts, just emotions, and shade, though essentially frozen out of popular initiatives. Mel has been trying to go on with his hypes. Mel is still working to make movements he has been talking up. Mel's still been trying to make moves. He's been hyping up Lethal Weapon 5, saying it's actually the best script in the whole franchise. According to him, it's written, it's ready, it just won't get made. And even he can't explain why. But let's be real, it's probably less about script quality and more about how risky studios think his name still is. And that's the thing, he's not totally wrong to feel frustrated, because there are people in Hollywood who done wild things and got let back in with open arms. So why not him? That's the question he's been asking for years. Curiously, several business people have stood up for Mel. Often called Mr. Comeback King, Robert Downey Jr. famously backed him. More lately, Andrew Garfield as well. Garfield, who was pushing Hacksaw Ridge under Mel's direction, emphasized everyone deserves second, third, even fourth chances, but that's not happening anytime soon. Mel now claims that Hollywood's cost of fame wasn't merely labor, but rather your soul. Hence Val wasn't willing to sign that spiritual lease. Mel claims it wasn't just about being sick or standing back. Val basically implied he saw too much, questioned the wrong things, and turned down the exclusive handshake. Roles vanished, projects vanished, and the media altered the narrative on him just like that. Val was pushed out for refusing to play by the unspoken rules. The same shadowy system Mel has been calling out for years allegedly turned its back on Kilmer for not complying, and now people are starting to question if the blacklisting was less about ego and more about exposure. By the time Val came back as Iceman in Maverick, it felt like a miracle, like a comeback. But if you rewatch that scene now, it doesn't feel like a return, it feels like a goodbye. That voice you heard in the movie, not really. His it was part AI, part old recordings, part smoke and mirrors. He wanted to do that part so badly they made it work, but off camera he was battling hard. Every shoot day took a toll, every line was a battle. And here's the problem: after that movie, Val became quiet, like really quiet. He stopped doing interviews, stopped making appearances. Fans thought he was just taking it easy, living life in private, but what we didn't know is that he was slowly disappearing for real. His friends started noticing it. Too, he wasn't answering calls, he wasn't responding to texts. Some hadn't seen him in months, even family members were out of the loop. But still nobody really pressed, because hey, he was Val Kilmer, the enigma, the spiritual artist, the man who turned solitude into a lifestyle until he died on April 1st. Many probably wished it was an April Fool's prank, but it wasn't, and the autopsy report came out, and then everything changed. Even though he was battling throat cancer, his death cause was officially Pneumonia, but pneumonia is the Hollywood go-to for unexplained passings. Kim Porter, Andre Harrell, similar story. A handy illness quietens the loud Kim is dead. Heavy D is dead. Andre Harrell is dead. The only two left are Puffy and Al. Almost died. Heavy D was found dead face down in a heart attack. Andre Harrell cardiac attack, though the first coroner's report said she died. Kim died from pneumonia. It was ruled a homicide, and chemicals found in her body indicated she had been poisoned. You know, some poisons can lead to heart attacks and pneumonia-like symptoms. Kilmer was quite malnourished, had unhealed surgical wounds, and had chronic infections. The coroner's report implied either intentional withdrawal or negligence. Untreated infections, malnutrition, muscle-wasting mending wounds from past procedures that never healed. It was the kind of physical condition you would anticipate from someone who had been slowly withering for a long time. The coroner also said that some of the infections could have been treated, but Val wasn't talking, asking for help, or keeping it all inside. Then there were the medications. The report showed notable amounts of prescription painkillers. Not enough to OD, but enough to suggest this individual was in ongoing pain, not only physical, but maybe emotional as well. The kind of agony you stop attempting to convey to others since no one actually gets. Let's not forget the Batman homage he shared only days before his death. He'd spent the last few years painting, journaling, and being close to his children, but also isolating. It's been a while, but I have us an animal. You look wonderful. Ultimately, Val Kilmer was more than a star. He was a whistleblower in a cape, a guy who had the courage to say no in an industry founded on silence. Should he be blacklisted for it? It begs the question of who else stayed quiet to live. Kilmer's quiet may have been strategy or defense rather than vulnerability. Maybe the true narrative is why he disappeared rather than how he died. If that upset you, you are not alone. But you will want to view our following.